All right, guys, what's cracking? Thursday afternoon here in Sydney. Wednesday night, where you guys are at in America. I'll wait a couple seconds. For a Thursday, it's been a busy day in boxing. There's a lot of going on. We have to cover both down here in Australia and in America. The usuals are in the news. Let me just send this. Guys, subscribe. Boxing news today. Facebook group. Like I said, we were at 115,000, but Facebook took it down. I started the new one just 4 weeks ago, and we're already almost at 6,000. So if you're following us there, I say thank you. I finally started an Instagram page. We have like 10 followers. So come follow that. It's Boxing News Today on Instagram. That one, I should just start putting the links in the page because you can't see it. That's just a white screen. So couple more seconds. I'm sharing this to the group. We were talking about last night. We ended the conversation last night with a question that sparked a video from my end today about the Canelo Alvarez-Terence Crawford debate, who I thought would win. We'll get into that later, but that video's up. I just posted it. And I also did a video today with Liam Pero talking about a potential matchup between Pero and Teofimo Lopez. Now, that 140-pound division is exciting. We know Teo has to fight Steve Claggett in Miami at the end of the month. If you guys are unaware of Claggett, he's ranked – BoxRec has him ranked number 9 in the world. I never heard of him until he got this fight. He has 7 losses, and this is Teo's next fight. But Bob Arum talked about it today that he wants Teofimo Lopez to fight Devin Haney. He said if Devin Haney's team, which it doesn't look like they're going to, they were offered that Sandor Martin fight. Purse bids were announced. Devin Haney was tweeting. He was he was offended about the offer. And then he said that he was going to take 2 years off. And that was yesterday. And just today, Ryan Garcia retires. So I'm now about to use some young people's terms for the first time in my life. I think that's what you would call cap, right? Garcia retiring, cap. And that sounds horrible coming from me. But Garcia said he retired. I'm sure it's just smoke and mirrors. It's his generation. Shakur's retired. Devin's retired. And now Ryan Garcia's retired. Could you imagine Marvin Hagler, 26 years old, hungry, screaming war, saying he retires? Could you imagine Sugar Ray Leonard? Well, Sugar Ray Leonard did retire, but that was due to an eye injury. Tommy Hearns retired. It's just this generation, just different. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying it's better. This generation's a bit different, and it's taken some time on my end because I'm an old head. I'm an old traditionalist. You know, I wake up early. I don't drink water when I train. You know, I was raised by a father from fleeing communist Czechoslovakia. So in my mind, how I train, how I think an athlete should live, it's more like the samurai lifestyle. We didn't have social media coming up. You know what I'm saying? I remember my first cordless phone. I grew up in a house with a rotary phone to where if I got into trouble at school and I knew the teachers were calling, I would just come home. We had one phone. I would just come home and unplug that joint. I'd unplug it and that no voice message. No, you're not getting the answer machine and the phone's not ringing. And funny story about that. My mom came to visit me in January, all the way from Youngstown, Ohio to Sydney, Australia this past January. And I told her that story. I was like, something you don't know about when I was a kid. Every time I'd be bad in school, they would call the parents. I'd come home and just unplug it and the phone wouldn't ring for 2 days. So anyway, that was my generation. We didn't have social media. Maybe those fighters would have been retiring like our boy Ryan Garcia. But we'll get here serious in a second. Just drinking some nootropics. I got boxing here in about 45 minutes, about an hour. I got to go downstairs to spar. Just 5 friendly rounds with a client of mine. You guys have this in America? It's passion fruit nootropics. It's a bunch of fucking herbs and shit, sawgrass, lemongrass, all that good stuff. Okay. Bill Haney's pissed off at Ryan Garcia. They're saying, the rumor is, in the sanctioning bodies, if you get suspended for drugs or if you get suspended for any reason and you're an active fighter, The suspension is only active if you are active. So Bill Haney releases this video today that I'll play you in response to Ryan Garcia retiring. So allegedly, because he retired, Bill Haney thinks he won't have to answer to the consequences because the New York Athletic Commission is responding tomorrow about the penalty that they're going to give Garcia for his tainted supplements.
This don't surprise me that Ryan Garcia is talking about that he's retired and he's not going to stand up for his faith in 48 hours. Everybody's been protecting him. We know these couple channels, Ego and Showbiz. You seem to celebrate guys on drugs in the ring, but you're running out of time. In 48 hours, your boy, Ryan Garcia, will be suspended. And you networks, promoters, and everybody that's been trying to protect him, you're going to go down with the shit. Mark my words.
That's Unc. Say what you will about Bill Haney, but he's entertaining to me. He makes me laugh. I read, if you go to his Instagram, that video's on his Instagram, and it's always enlightening for me to. Now, I don't follow anybody as a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my job here for you guys I'm a fan of boxing, and I wanted to clarify this too. With all the videos, I just did a video saying Terrence Crawford was going to lose to Canelo. I expect to get a lot of hate. I'm a diehard Bud Crawford fan, but I did that video to prove a point about that I'm a bigger boxing fan than I am a specific fighter, okay? And that's really important. So my job here with this channel, my Boxing News Today group on Facebook, the page on Instagram, is to educate and keep everybody in the know day by day of what's going on in the sport. So when if I'm following people, characters such as Bill Haney, it's not because I'm a fan. It's interesting to see what he has to say about the sport. Also, what's even more interesting are the commenters. So something I wanted to talk about, I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on this. So many negative people were commenting on Bill's post about that, saying, just let it go. You're just salty. Your son got beat up. Okay, yeah, but the opponent was on steroids. Ryan tested positive for steroids. That is fucking illegal. Also, he missed weight. That is fucking illegal. There's rules for a reason. So it's shocking to me to read the comments saying that you should just get over it. Hell no, dude. If that was my son, if that was my brother, if that was my client, if that was my athlete, and he lost and he got his ass beat, I'm going to be defending him tooth and nail, especially if the dude he lost to was proved to cheat. Not making weight is cheating, guys. Not like coming in overweight is cheating. All that shit he was saying before the fight is cheating. Testing positive for whatever it's going to be. It's not playing by the rules. And then you mix that in with like the sanctions and the potential suspensions, which are coming. There's no way I'm forgetting about that. Like I can't understand how fans could just be that blasé about a blood sport. People die in this sport, man. We're not playing fucking checkers. This isn't baseball where you could jump on the gear and hit a couple home runs. Nobody's getting hurt in baseball. It's not a combat sport. Boxing is a goddamn combat sport. So any little advancement, any little sort of side that you think you get an advantage of, that's fine if it's legal. If I think that the best strength and conditioning coach is down in South Florida, I'm going to reach out to him because I think that maybe he could get me he could get me to the next level in terms of my explosion. But if I know deep down that these supplements, these needles, these patches are illegal, but my coach is saying, hey, if you piss this time or if you get your some blood transfusion here, it won't test. That's fucked up, man. And it look okay. These are the same people. Do you remember Antonio Margarito? That Margarito Cotto fight? I'll never forget this. Miguel Cotto was in the prime of his fucking career, the nicest guy in the world. And Antonio Margarito, the Tijuana Tornado. I was a fan of Margarito. I loved his style, man. And like second or third round of that fight, Cotto's face is like peeling off. And you could see him telling his corner, like, I don't know what he's hitting me with. I don't know what's happening. And we all know how that story goes. Margarito was dipping his fucking hand wraps in plaster of Paris to where when they were getting wrapped, they were dry. And throughout the fight, as they get moist and sweat, they fucking harden. and you're punching with goddamn rocks. And the greatest karma after that was the next fight. Now, it was rumored Margarito was doing that, okay? He then signs to fight Sugar Shane Mosley, and Mosley's corner is in the locker room, catches Margarito with the plaster in his wraps, doesn't cancel the fight, makes him rewrap the hands in front of them with clean wraps, tells Shane about it, and Shane goes out and beats the fucking piss out of Margarito. And this is what I'm talking about. So, like, you can't play boxing. It's I don't understand the people who would tell Bill Haney just to forget about it. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty wild. And what else we got to talk about? There's we know about Mario Barros. Mario Barros has been elevated. He's a champion now at 147. All of read the comments. He's an email champ. He got his belt emailed to him. That's fine and dandy. The video I did today, if you want to check it out, I talked about Bud Crawford and Canelo, but over the last 10 years, and that's what I want to talk about here. And guys, feel free to chime in what you think about this, because people were talking about who wins that fight, and I was telling them it's bad. I don't understand why they hate Devin Haney, man. If you watch how I understand why they don't like his father, but if you are a young father and you have a young son and you're hanging around sort of like the training facilities. One of my clients, he's 9 years old, and I'm good friends with his dad. I help the 9-year-old with his strength training. And you hang around these training facilities, and you see a young pro athlete like Devin Haney, and you watch him train. Watch some of his videos, his strength and conditioning. Watch the discipline he puts forth. Watch how he spars. Watch how he eats. Everything's locked in. You would tell your little 9-year-old, watch that kid. Watch that athlete. That's a good role model to sort of like hone your habits around, a Devin Haney type. You wouldn't talk about that with Ryan Garcia. If I had a little son, I would not tell my son to look at Ryan, look how he does his thing. That's how you want to mold your upbringing. No, I don't want my son to be around alcohol. I don't want him to be around coke and all these random bras. I mean, that shit's fine and dandy if you're not in a blood sport, and I'm not judging anybody who does it. Shit, I used to bartend in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? I'm no saint. I lived in LA. What I'm saying is, from the pro athlete side, from the fan side, I don't get how they don't. I understand logically why they don't like Dev, but from a human performance side, Devin Haney's a class act, man. The dude is a consummate professional, and it was tough seeing him get beat like that. He took a lot of damage, and psychologically, it's tough to come back from that. His dad doesn't make it any better, and it's just this modern era of fandom that I think, because we all have a voice with this, we all could comment. 15 years ago, if you didn't like somebody, you couldn't comment. And now it's almost like we have the opportunity to hate or to give love. And unfortunately, when fighters lose, more hate comes out it than love. I don't know what it is, but it's damn infatuation with Ryan. Yeah, these are people that have never. These are people. The people who have infatuation with a kid, specifically what they look like. That's a external thing. So it's very extrinsic, non-intrinsic. It's base level. There's a saying that my boxing coach used to say, a fish is only as deep as the water it swims in. So if you're looking to heighten your frequency, my boxing coach was an old fucking like samurai yogi hippie. And this was back in Northeast Ohio. And he would say, if you're looking to heighten your frequency, if you're looking to progress in life, the fish you swim around are either going to pull you with them into their draft, or you have to go deeper if you want to get, to the next level. And it's just the mindset of fandom, and he trolls them. It's sad to see Garcia trolls his fans. Like, I was shocked to see, I only like, he'll like troll them with watches. He'll troll them with bitches. He'll troll them with planes. Like, what he says, to even think that kid is rapping, and no offense, like that he's putting energy about, recording music in the middle of a fight camp. That's crazy, man. Kudos to him though, with his performance. But it comes down to accountability. Yes, man. We don't have anything to compare it to. I'm speechless. Like, there's no other time. I mean, he makes Hector Macho Camacho. Macho was one of my favorite fighters coming up. He fought my boy Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and Macho Camacho used to be a wild cat. Macho was. Google him if you young bucks don't know who I'm talking about. The Macho Man was a beast, and it's Macho time. Liam Perro did kind of an homage when he got the victory against Matias in the ring. He said, it's Perro time. he was referencing Macho Camacho, and he would, orgies, cocaine, the rest of it. If there was social media at that time, I think Hector Camacho would make Ryan Garcia look like an altar boy. Oscar De La Hoya was a wild. It's boxing. It's a blood sport. These are wild, wild boys. So I get it. But back to the hate on Devin Haney, I think it comes down to like some of that fandom. Dev doesn't really do all that. You know what I mean? I think Dev is more of an introverted cat. He struggles with putting himself out there because he's been built for this. There was a college football quarterback who won the Heisman Trophy. Now I'm dating myself, in the late 80s, early 90s, Todd Marinovich. Todd Marinovich ended up playing for the Oakland Raiders. In college at USC, Marinovich was the man. Heisman Trophy. He might have been the number 1 overall pick for the Raiders. Born and raised in Los Angeles. His father was a world-famous strength and conditioning coach, I think it was Marv Marinovich, and, trained the German Olympians. He has all these sort of like outside-the-box ideas for strength and conditioning. He used to train BJ Penn, former UFC world champion, and he raised Todd Marinovich, his son, like a goddamn robot from the time Todd was 7 years old. You could see videos of all Todd did was eat, sleep, train American football. Technique, throw the ball, run, learn the game. And this is how Dev was brought up. You can see videos of when Devin Haney's 6 years old walking into the ring with Zab Judah holding Zab's belt, things like this. So Devin is a kid that came, all he knows is boxing, all he knows is training, all he knows is eating right, all he knows is recovery, and all he knew was winning. And so none of that equation coming up was social media. None of that was him learning how to be a troll. None of that was learning how to get strangers to like him without using boxing. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't take a very smart person to realize that Devin Haney he's not comfortable in the limelight. That's what I think. I think he's more of an introvert. He seems like a nice guy too. And it's this weird balance he must play when he's on stage with his dad. And it's interesting because the dad's super extroverted. And Bill, I think when the legacy will be written, Bill is kind of in the same vein as like King William, Serena and Venus's dad, Tiger Woods' dad, Marinovich's dad, a father who saw the skill and devoted the time and passion and energy into their child and sacrificed everything for the outcome of their child reaching their full potential at whatever sport it is. And now we're seeing from Bill's perspective the fruits of that labor. Very outgoing on social media channels, selling the fight. But Dev is still the same fighter. Dev is still that kid. Dev's only 26. You know what I'm saying? He's not even in his prime yet physically. And it's like this weird dichotomy that Devin has to play, struggling with like juggling the father and who he really is. And I don't envy that position. And now I think part of the reason what troubles Ryan is he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the accountability thing around him. It's just him. And I think part of his like behavior is a cry for help from psychoanalyzing. I did go to college for sports psych. If I had to say Ryan's behavior is, he doesn't have anybody to hold him down. No one's ever said no to him. His highs are super high. I don't want to like over the internet say he might have like like bipolar, but you see him like this, the ups are ups, the lows are lows. And over time, you mix that with boxing, you mix that with social media, you mix that with people loving you to your face and no one ever saying no to you. That could be a dangerous concoction. We've seen it in boxing time and time again. It's boxing, guys. This is what happens in the sport, man. Mike Tyson. We talked about, Tommy Morrison. We talked I did a live last week about Tommy the Gun, the Duke Morrison, man. He was having orgies right after the fight. They said Tommy Morrison. Google Tommy Morrison. After the fight, before he would do his press conference, he'd have women and he already would have had sex with multiple women before he would do his post-fight presser. This is Tommy Morrison. These are athletes. These are savages. John Jones, UFC champ, GOAT, comes down to Sydney. He used to come down every year to the UFC gym to do these sort of like camps. And I knew a girl who worked at my gym who was a prostitute. And the one thing about Sydney in Australia is, if you guys didn't know, prostitution's legal. So like when I first moved here in 2013, the guys I worked out at the gym, they would tell me that. I go, what do you mean it's legal? They're like, no, there's like fine dining whorehouses. This is a thing. Look this up, to where it's taxed. The girls are tested, and there's girls from all over the world. It's wild. So like you go in, you pick, it's crazy. So one of the girls worked out at my gym, and one of my buddies was her coach. And she would always say she worked at like the finest of the fine dining whorehouses, where it was like I think she was from like Lithuania. There were Ukrainian girls and Russians and Germans and Brazilians and all this stuff. And she said every year John Jones would come down there, and Ryan is out there, but lots of fighters are. Yeah, Teo's crazy. It's boxing. I get it. But she would, let me finish this point. She would say that John would come down there, John Jones, and would stay at the whorehouse for like 8 hours. He'd go there with two of his boys. They'd have a bunch of blow, and he'd get a room with like 3-4 girls, and would just pay for like 8 hours of the day and just do, you know what goes on in those rooms. But this is John Jones. These are savages. You have to be crazy to be in combat sports, especially if you're a world champion like Teo or John Jones or a superstar like Ryan. You can't be walking the normal edge of society. So I understand all that. It's just the hate. I feel like sometimes I have to be like a gatekeeper of positivity for people who are hating on people, because like I don't have a hater bone in my body. And especially, coming from a boxing town, boxing background, I coach, I still train, and I know how much pain it is to lose. I've lost before. I've had nothing before. Fighters, man, it's their whole world, dude. When did this start? I'm 22 minutes in, man. I just went on a rant, Jack, about the Australian whorehouses, so you might want to rewind that. Guys, it's always fun talking, man. This is the first live I've got. I really enjoy your stats online. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate you. Any feedback, let me know. Anything you want to do a video about, I want to start getting more interaction on these lives. A lot of stories we could talk about, any topics. It's kind of a slow week this weekend in boxing, but the following week we got that Teofimo Lopez fight. We got Bam versus Estrada. That's a fight that's been flying under the radar, man. I'm stoked about that Bam Estrada fight. Bam's going to be tested, and we'll see what happens there. I think I'm going to do an Estrada Bam video. I know in the past I've done some, Bam Rodriguez videos. They've done really well. And guys, I just did the video on Crawford Canelo. I got that idea from you guys during last night's live. So anything, I appreciate it. Share, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I'm still learning all this, but I appreciate you. I got to go train now. See ya.